FIU warns about romance and package delivery scams. 3 demolishes home at Ling Avenue. Demon gets jail for sexual assault. In the region, 2022 World Cup qualifiers and Copa America to go ahead. And internationally, Florida runaways arrested after firing at police. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. A lone gunman on Thursday afternoon robbed a police officer and a businessman of close to $300,000 in cash and valuables at Good Intent on the west coast of Demerara, but was subsequently caught. According to a police report, sometime around 4:30, the 2 victims were working on a newly constructed house at Good Intent when the suspect approached, making inquiries about the boss of the work. He was invited into the house where he whipped out a gun and demanded the 30-year-old police officer and the 44-year-old businessman to hand over all their cash and valuables before escaping. The 2 victims quickly got into their car and gave chase behind the suspect, who joined a dark blue Toyota Ace motorcar bearing registration number PPP 1130. The victims were able to block the said car, but the suspect jumped out, and while brandishing the firearm, he ran into a yard. Public-spirited persons from within the area came out and kept watch for the suspect, while one of the victims went to report the matter to the Wales police station. The police came and arrested the suspect. Some of the stolen items were recovered, but the gun was not found. 2 other occupants of the getaway car and the suspect have been detained pending an investigation. Director of the Financial Intelligence Unit is warning Guyanese to be aware of romance and package delivery scams. Esther Sobers has more.
Guyanese are being cautioned of romance scams, where women are being cheated out of millions of dollars through social media and dating sites. Director of Financial Intelligence Unit, Mr. Matthew Langevine, says the entity has received an increase in reports of scam since the beginning of the pandemic.
Package delivery or romance scammers have emerged more prominently during the period of this COVID-19 pandemic. This scam specifically targets persons via several social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. The methodology used by the scammers is to befriend unsuspecting persons via the before-mentioned digital platforms. After some time used to build trust with their new friend or love interest, the scammer promises the intended victim some form of assistance. This, in most instances, is supposedly a package containing valuable gift items, such as designer clothing, jewelry, televisions, cell phones, and other electronic devices.
The IFU stated that typically romance scams are operated by local and foreign collaborators, and women have become the main targets of these scams.
Victim is usually contacted by a local associate of the scammer, confirming the arrival of the package and requesting their personal contact and other information. The intended victim is also subsequently contacted and requested to deposit money to a specified local bank account or send it via money transfer agency. They are advised that the payment is required to cover brokerage fees, custom duties, or some penalty or shipping-related charges for the package, which was found on inspection to contain highly valuable items. Once this payment is made, the scammers discontinue all contact with the victim. In some instances, however, requests are made for additional payments for various reasons which may sound plausible to unsuspecting individuals.
Asked whether lost funds were recovered, Mr. Langevine said there were no such cases. He said it is unfortunate since the country is also struggling with the pandemic, which has lessened persons' income.
If you or someone you know is approached via email, Facebook, WhatsApp, SMS, or similar type medium and promised gifts or even COVID-19 related financial or other assistance, beware. This may be a scam. Do not, I emphasize, do not share any personal information, transfer or deposit money into the bank account of persons you meet online and do not know very well.
The COVID-19 pandemic has seen more persons staying at home for longer periods. This has led to more virtual relationships, with fraudsters taking advantage of the victim's trust.
If you believe you are a victim of the romance or package delivery scam, report it immediately to the nearest police station.
For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. Stick around. We've got more news for you after the break.
Here's what's happening on Waterloo Street at John Lewis Styles during the month of June. Shop for Father's Day and you could win an all-inclusive trip for two to Arrow Point Nature Resort. Buy any men's suit and get a free tie, or buy any men's pair of shoes and get a free pair of socks. Traveling this summer? Buy any luggage set and get a free travel pouch. Visit us on Waterloo Street for more choices and better prices. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 4-6 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brickdam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Tastes so good. It's gotta be made with Alabama Baker wheat flour. Produced from quality soft winter wheat and quality enzymes to give a superior product that's guaranteed to be luscious, delightful to taste, and stays fresher longer. Alabama Baker wheat flour is perfect for breads, roti, puri, pastries, chow mein, pastas, and many other delights. Imported and distributed by Alabama Trading. 6566 Robb Street, Borda, and 23 Lombard Street. Telephone 225-5800.
Welcome to Kissoon's Furniture. Find everything you need for your home and more under one roof in our newly decorated showroom. Our locally crafted furniture has been perfected over the last 60 years. From our hands to your home, we also bring to you our newly introduced lines of imported furniture and sleep center, where you can find a wide range of beds and mattresses. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 60 years.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. A taxi driver was sentenced to 18 years imprisonment, charged with the rape of a 13-year-old girl back in 2015. 33-year-old Daniel Nasana, also called Demon, was sentenced by Justice Brassington Reynolds at the Sexual Offense Court of the Demerara High Court. The judge said, while addressing the inhumane manner in which the crime was committed, told Nasana, quote, "Removing you from the society, at least for a while, is the least that a court can do in its attempt at joining forces with the rest of the civil society to combat, if not overturn, the scourge of rape, incest, and other deplorable forms of sexual violence being meted out to women and children in our beloved country." End of quote. Asana was found guilty by a 12-member jury for engaging in sexual penetration with the underage victim during November 2015. According to reports, Asana, who is known to the victim and her family, on the day in question, forced her into his car and took her to his home, where he allegedly raped her. The teen got sick at school and checks confirmed that she was 7 weeks pregnant. At that point, the teen confided in her mother about what had transpired. The police were called in and Asana was arrested. Headline News met with a resident of Lane Avenue whose house was demolished by a fallen tree. Here's more from Esther Sobers.
It has been almost a week since a fallen tree due to heavy winds and rain completely demolished a house and destroyed 2 others at Lane Avenue, leaving several families to seek alternative shelters. Headline News visited the community and spoke to one of the affected homeowners. Colin Wilson has been living in the avenue for over 30 years.
Since the house fell on Sunday, it broke up. Nothing is the same at all. I sleep in my daughter's two-seater chair and I'm not comfortable. And I go about asking for assistance but not getting none. I went to CDC yesterday. They said that they give me food stuff. Well, I can't get nothing more. I go to Human Services. Well, they try to give me some assistance, but I have to take in some pictures to them and an estimate about the cost of the home.
Though the other 2 houses that were destroyed have been fairly repaired, Wilson's house was entirely demolished, leaving the family of 6 to live with another family member in the same yard. The family has also been severely affected by flooding in the area.
Cabinet wall divided, break up, the machine break up, the television get damaged, and so forth. Well, the chairs in here are wet. They're wet. And a wardrobe. But the only place that didn't damage is a forest room I had there where my son used to be in. He didn't get affected.
Wilson said she has received some assistance in form of food items, but is seeking further help to rebuild her home. If you would like to assist Colleen Wilson, you can contact her on 666-3967. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. The Ministry of Housing and Water on Thursday signed a contract for the construction of a $51 million multi-purpose facility at Section C Turkine. The facility will be a concrete structure which will be able to accommodate multiple sporting facilities. The contract has been awarded to Dudnot Construction and Supplies. The Minister of Housing and Water, Mr. Colin Crowell, at a simple sod-turning ceremony on Thursday said that this initiative is significant since it is the single largest investment on a community facility by the Housing Ministry.
Of this multi-purpose facility in this area, which forms part of the Adequate Housing and Urban Accessibility Program, this program is designed by its dynamics to improve the quality of life for residents, especially in the urban areas, by improving not only your access to housing, but the physical infrastructure in the areas.
Minister Crowell said they will continue to work to ensure that the residents of the community benefit from access to critical infrastructure, enhance mobility and safety, and strengthening capacity, urban services, and overall improve living conditions. He further stated that over 900 residents from Sophia were consulted on the proposed project to ensure that the programs match the needs of the community. Minister within the Ministry of Housing, Susan Rodriguez, who was also at the sod-turning event, said that Sophia, like any other community, needs a safe space where children can learn, as well as watch their talents and gifts grow, in a common environment that is easily accessible. She said that the government is committed to working with vulnerable communities to improve access to not just the facilities and education, but also to sustainable jobs. Don't go away. After the break, we have your regional and international news.
girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for do a surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome to Kissoon's Furniture. Find everything you need for your home and more under one roof in our newly decorated showroom. Our locally crafted furniture has been perfected over the last 60 years. From our hands to your home, we also bring to you our newly introduced lines of imported furniture and sleep center, where you can find a wide range of beds and mattresses. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 60 years.
For decades, milk has remained the same. Until now. Introducing the Great Dairy Full Cream Milk from Alabama Trading. Enriched with vitamins A to D and calcium to promote healthy teeth, strong bones, and vitality. Great Dairy Milk is delicious and fortified to encourage healthy cell growth within the body. No wonder it's the #1 brand of milk produced in Ireland. Now available nationwide in 400-gram packages at leading supermarkets and wholesale vendors. Distributed by Alabama Trading.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brickdam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Here's what's happening on Waterloo Street at John Lewis Styles during the month of June. Shop for Father's Day and you could win an all-inclusive trip for two to Arrow Point Nature Resort. Buy any men's suit and get a free tie, or buy any men's pair of shoes and get a free pair of socks. Traveling this summer? Buy any luggage set and get a free travel pouch. Visit us on Waterloo Street for more choices and better prices. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. Qualifying games for the Qatar 2022 World Cup are being played across South America despite rising COVID-19 cases there. The matches come just days before the Copa America tournament kicks off in Brazil. Al Jazeera's Daniel Schimler reports.
International games in Latin America, both the World Cup qualifiers and the Copa America, will go ahead because the regional governing body CONMEBOL has decided they must.
What CONMEBOL doesn't want is that in the next World Cup, next year in Qatar, European teams are too strong for them. So they think competitions must be played as they are scheduled.
This despite Argentina recording a daily average of 32,000 new COVID-19 cases. Colombia has seen wide-scale anti-government protests and has recorded nearly 90,000 deaths. So now, on June the 13th, Brazil will host the Copa America, but they've recorded nearly 470,000 deaths from the virus and hospitals are on the verge of collapse. So is it really the best option?
It's not the best, it's the only. And that's why the Copa America is being held in Brazil.
They have the stadiums after hosting the 2014 World Cup and the last Copa America in 2019. It's also a country with a president, Jair Bolsonaro, keen to hold the competition. He's always called the virus nothing worse than a little flu and says life should continue as normal.
There will only be a few Copa America games, so I don't know why people are against it, especially as we're still playing games in the Brazilian domestic championships and the Libertadores Cup.
The games will be played in empty stadiums, but several players and managers have already expressed their concerns.
Surely the situation in Brazil is the same or worse than it is here, which makes the decision to play there difficult to understand. This doesn't mean, however, that we won't go and play our best.
But first, the focus is on the World Cup and the resumption of qualifying games. Each country plays 2 matches before the Copa America kicks off. Brazil and Argentina, as they often do, sit at the top of the table, while Venezuela, Peru and Bolivia occupy their customary places at the bottom. Football in South America is more than just a distraction, an idle leisure pursuit. It's wrapped up with politics and finance, and many would say life itself. So even while the coronavirus pandemic continues to wreak havoc across the continent, the game remains a fundamental part of the debate. Daniel Schweimler, Al Jazeera, Buenos Aires.
Internationally, 2 runaway children in Florida are facing attempted murder charges after firing guns at police. The girl and the boy, ages 14 and 12, ran away from their foster home before finding a stash of weapons. Al Jazeera's Andy Galichar reports.
10-4, they're shooting at me.
By now, we're used to seeing this kind of police body camera footage. Armed standoffs are commonplace in the US, but this one involved children.
Don't let me do this.
Investigators say a 14-year-old girl and a 12-year-old boy ran away from this foster home before breaking into a house where they found weapons and ammunition. Armed with an assault rifle, pistol and shotgun, the children fired on police, who knew they were dealing with juveniles. The local sheriff praised his officers for their attempts to de-escalate a dangerous situation, but poured scorn on a system that's supposed to care for children.
What the hell is the Department of Juvenile Justice doing, sending these kids to places that can't handle them? We talk about juvenile justice reform. Deputies did everything they could tonight to de-escalate, and they almost lost their lives to a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old.
Juvenile crime in the US is on the rise, with carjackings alone seeing huge spikes. 2 teenage girls are charged with the murder of Mohammed Anwar in March this year, after they allegedly stole his car in Washington, D.C. In Florida, critics say the state's services for children in need are inadequate.
While the juvenile justice program here has seen dramatic budget cuts, homes designed to care for children at risk are overwhelmed. Since 2013, the numbers entering foster care have risen sharply, while the Department of Families and Children is struggling to hire staff.
The standoff in Florida ended with the 14-year-old girl shot and severely injured. The 12-year-old boy reportedly laid down an AK-47 before being taken into custody.
He said he fired the shotgun a couple of times and also fired the handgun at deputies. He told detectives he knew they were cops when he shot at them because he wanted to harm them. There are the words of a 12-year-old.
In a statement, the care home the children ran from said, "This situation is tragic and is the result of the system failing our children. These children are in desperate need of care in the appropriate setting, which is a higher level of care than we provide." The home went on to say they will no longer take at-risk children until they can care for them in a safe way. Andy Gallagher, Al Jazeera, Miami, Florida.
And finally, Denmark's parliament has voted to establish a refugee reception center in a 3rd country, possibly Rwanda, where it has previously pledged support for a refugee camp. Al Jazeera's Charlotte Billis has more.
In Danish Parliament, politicians have taken strict immigration policies for asylum seekers and voted to make them tougher. In a 70-24 vote, politicians agreed to move asylum seekers who arrive on Danish soil to a reception centre in a 3rd country outside Europe, where their applications would be processed.
Little more than 50% that arrived in Denmark last year, they didn't have a need for seeking asylum. They were migrants that were hoping for a better life, and I understand that, and I think that makes sense, but that's just not enough to get a resident permit to stay in Denmark.
The centre-right Social Democrats who backed the bill say it will protect asylum seekers from being exploited by traffickers and making the Mediterranean Sea crossing, as they won't make the journey if they are likely to be rejected. But refugee rights advocates say any humanitarian benefits are misguided, as asylum claims can only be filed at the Danish border.
It's nonsense to say that it's going to stop
sea crossings because it will not be possible to apply for asylum in the center. So people have to cross the sea anyway. So that's just ridiculous to call it kind of humanitarian.
The United Nations Refugee Agency warned last month it could start a race to the bottom if other European countries followed Denmark's policy.
Could be a huge game changer if other countries would follow up. It's not like the process of asylum seeking can be externalized. So saying, okay, provide that on our behalf, but don't bring to our country. It's just going against the concept of asylum.
The European Commission also criticised the move, saying outsourcing asylum claims is not compatible with EU laws.
External processing of asylum claims raises fundamental questions about both the access to asylum procedures and effective access to protection. It is not possible under existing EU rules or proposals under the new pact on migration and asylum.
Denmark's tightening immigration policies have come after more than 21,000 asylum seekers arrived in 2015. It now has a goal of 0 asylum seekers and in April declared parts of Syria safe. It has started revoking residency permits for some Syrian refugees. It's unclear where Denmark anticipates having the third country reception centre, but it did sign a memorandum of understanding for future cooperation with Rwanda in April. Charlotte Bellis, Al Jazeera.
And that is it for today's regional and international news. Here now is your 3-day weather forecast. That is all for this edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. Tune in on Monday at 7 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, stay safe and take care.